So a big Monday night showdown coming up in Baltimore against the Ravens, playing the Ravens on Monday Night Football. Lions' first primetime game of the year. So a big matchup here against the two teams that won their respective North divisions last year. As it's NFC North champion Detroit versus AFC North champion Baltimore. Only one can be the true king of the North. So let's go over this matchup and let's see how the Lions fare entering Baltimore this week. So, of course, entering this game, Baltimore is currently 4.5-point favorites entering this game. So Detroit enters as effectively 5-point underdogs. Oof. Baltimore, they lead the all-time series over Detroit 6-1. The only time Detroit has ever beat Baltimore, the last time they did, was all the way back in 2005, but that game was in Detroit, though. Because, fun fact, the Lions have never beaten the Ravens in Baltimore. In fact, the last time the Lions won a football game in Baltimore was all the way back in 1977, when the Indianapolis Colts still played in Baltimore. In terms of the Ravens, though, the Lions have always struggled against the Ravens in Baltimore. Like, every time the Lions have played the Ravens in Baltimore, they have always lost. And all those games have not been close. Like, in all the games the Lions played the Ravens in Baltimore, Detroit has lost by at least 9 points in all of those games. So Baltimore has won by 2 touchdowns, effectively, in a way. Or at least 2 possessions, that is. Detroit this year is currently 0-1 on the road this year. Baltimore is 1-0 at home. Since last week was Baltimore's home opener where they dominated the Browns and violated them. So, of course, that offense is Lamar Jackson, one of the best regular season quarterbacks of all time. Honestly, arguably, Lamar should have won MVP last year, but, shit happens. Of course, the running back duo, the running back in the backfield, it's anchored, of course, by, King Derrick Henry VIII. They do also got other running backs back there like Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell. Now, Patrick Ricard, the fullback, is questionable with a calf injury. In terms of receiving core, they got names like Rashad Bateman, Safe Flowers, and DeAndre Hopkins. And then you have the tight end duo of Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, who's questionable with a foot injury. The D-line is anchored by Nadami Matabike, and you got Travis Jones in there. And on the edges, you got O'Day Follett, and you have Kyle Van Noy, who's questionable with, what did I write there? Let's see. Yeah, hamstring. Okay, there it is. I just had it pretty tiny on the paper just to fit. But yeah, Van Noy is questionable with a hamstring injury. The linebacking core is anchored by Roquan Smith and Trenton Simpson. The secondary, the main pilots in the secondary for the Ravens is Kyle Hamilton. And then you got Marlon Humphreys, who's questionable with a groin injury. But outside that, they also got other names that can play roles in that secondary, like Maliki Starks, Jair Alexander, Nate Wiggins, Chidobe Awuzie, and TJ Tampa. The head coach of the squad, of course, is John Harbaugh. The offensive coordinator is Todd Monken, and the defensive coordinator is Zach Orr. So, of course, the Ravens last year, they were the number 1 ranked offense in the league. Number 1 in the run game. Number 7 in the pass game. So even though the Ravens offense lives and dies by the run game, Lamar can throw that ball. Like, Lamar can throw it, too, if all else fails. So yeah, slowly but steadily, Lamar is killing all the running back allegations. And honestly, with how good the offense is, especially last year, it makes you wonder how in the fuck Lamar did not win MVP last year for a 3rd time. Especially looking at his numbers, god damn. In terms of the Ravens defense, though, they were the 10th ranked defense last year. They were the number 1 defense against the run, but their defense against the pass is a different story, as they were the 2nd worst pass defense in the league last year, ranked 31st. So even though they were good at stopping the run, they had some issues in the secondary once if they couldn't get any pressure there. So the keys to winning this game, of course, you got to be able to stop the run game. Because history has shown with Baltimore is that if you can stop that run game, you can stop their offense. But stopping the run game is a lot easier said than done, because stopping Derrick Henry is one thing. Stopping Lamar Jackson is a whole different story. Like, you got to be able to stop the run game. Not only that, you also got to get pressure to Lamar Jackson and find a way to contain him. Because not only can Lamar beat you with that arm, he can also beat you with the legs too. Especially if Lamar gets a wide open space. So, containing him is going to be crucial to winning this game. Offensively, Detroit's just got to find a way to get the run game going. Maybe take advantage of some mismatches in the secondary and take advantage of the pretty weakened up backfield. Try and get maybe take some big shots with J-Mo and maybe Amon-Ra. Maybe even take another big shot with Isaac Tesla and see if he can reel in another one-handed catch for a third straight week. God damn. And of course, I think another thing, winning the turnover battle is going to be crucial. I think another thing the Lions need to do to have a shot at winning this game is controlling time of possession. Because we all know how dangerous Lamar can be and how deadly he can be when he's on his A game. But here's the thing, the best way to prevent Lamar from doing any damage to you is if you keep him off the field for as long as humanly possible. So I think controlling time of possession is crucial to winning this game. And, also keep a clean pocket. They're like, this interior O-line, this will be their biggest test of the year against this Ravens front 4-7. How will they hold up against this Ravens D? Because this Ravens D is loaded with talent. Like, this team is loaded overall with talent. Like, the Baltimore Ravens, this is going to be one of the Lions' toughest games of the season against a team historic on paper that should be a Super Bowl contender. But as we've seen with Lamar and the Ravens in the past, they're a great regular season team. Outstanding regular season team, that is. But they always seem to fall apart in the playoffs. Especially Lamar. Like, honestly, Lamar Jackson, he's just the NFL version of Joel Embiid. Very good regular season player, can rack up MVPs like they're going out of style. But when it comes to the playoffs, he always chokes and falls apart and nobody takes him serious when it matters, just like Joel Embiid does. So yeah, that's going to be a very tough game. Like I said, it's the toughest game of the season. And it's the start of a 3-week AFC North gauntlet the Lions got to go through for the next 3 weeks. Because the Lions' next 3 games, you got Baltimore this Monday night. And then next week, you got Cleveland. And then Cincinnati the week after that. In fact, the Lions' the next part of the schedule is pretty brutal as a whole. Because they got some pretty tough matchups throughout the first half of the season. But yeah, it's Baltimore this week. So, it's going to be a very hard game. And usually, like I mentioned, the Lions have always struggled in Baltimore. I don't know why the Lions always struggle in Baltimore. I don't know if M&T Bank Stadium was built on Indian burial grounds, or if Edgar Allan Poe's gravesite was underneath the fucking end zone or center field or whatever the fuck it is. But for whatever goddamn reason, the Lions never seem to play well in Baltimore. I don't know why. They just don't. It just seems like every time they play the Ravens in Baltimore, it's just an absolute mismatch nightmare. I know there are some teams you match up well against and some you don't. And I know the Lions don't match up well against Baltimore, but fuck me. Every time you play in Baltimore, you can't even have one goddamn close game. That's pretty bad. Usually every time the Lions have played in Baltimore, it has usually been Detroit's worst game of the season. Especially the last time they played in Baltimore in 2023. The year the Lions went 12-5 and won the NFC North. And oh yeah, their worst game that season was, oh shit, against Baltimore in Baltimore. What a shocker. Like I said, usually the Lions' worst game of the season is in Baltimore. I don't know why. They just don't match up well against the Ravens in Baltimore. But they always seem to play better against the Ravens at Ford Field. But for whatever reason at M&T Bank Stadium, they just don't do well against the Ravens there in Baltimore. It sucks, man. Like I say this. In terms of the games I had wins and losses in, this was one of the games I had the Lions losing in my preseason predictions. And I honestly feel like I'm going to stay with that because the thing is, though, I think the Lions' defense can stop Derrick Henry, but I don't think they can contain Lamar Jackson. Like I said, stopping King Henry's one thing. Stopping and containing Lamar, that's a whole totally different can of worms. I think they can stop one, but I don't think they can stop the other. I think this absolute mismatch nightmare. I think after the game the Lions had last week, I think this week's going to be a little bit same back down to earth. I think the Lions are going to struggle, and I think the Ravens are just going to have their way. I think this is going to be one of Detroit's worst games of the season. This is a game I'm not very confident in the Lions' chances in. I got Baltimore winning by 29-15. Just like I mentioned, every time the Lions have played in Baltimore, the Lions have usually lost by nearly double digits every single time. It's going to be a hard-ass game. It's going to be, like I said, one of the hardest games the Lions are going to have all season. And usually it's around this time of year, the last couple years, where the Ravens usually have tended to get their shit together to get ready for take over that regular season. Plus, Lamar is also really good against NFC teams. I believe he's only lost 2 or 3 games against NFC opponents his entire career. It just makes you think that if Lamar can have some solid playoff success in the AFC side, Lamar could easily go get a Super Bowl or 2 for sure. But Lamar's just got to get better in the playoffs. Just got to perform better in the playoffs. Just got to learn the difference between regular season ball and playoff ball. But yeah, I have the Lions losing this game. I'm just not confident in the Lions' chances. This is just, the Lions just don't match up well against Baltimore. Yeah, I think it's going to be one of the Lions' worst games of the season. But, keep in mind, though, this is the hardest game of the year, and we're getting it early in the year. It's honestly, it's best to have your hardest games of the season earlier in the year compared to later, so you can know where you are early in the season. Honestly, this game is just a measuring stick to see where the Lions truly stack up in terms of the Super Bowl contenders in this season, to see where they got to get better in for playoff time in January. Honestly, I think the Lions lose, but I think they're going to treat this game as a tested tune-up session for January to get ready there, to see what they got to do to get better for the playoffs. And usually a playoff contending team and a Super Bowl contender like Baltimore is a good measuring stick to see where you truly are. But yeah, and in terms of my score predictions, my analysis for this preview, I'm really hoping to God I'm wrong and the Lions find a way to win this game. But I have my doubts and I don't see it happening. This is a brutal matchup against Baltimore. I'm just not confident coming in. But yeah, that's just my preview for this week. It's going to be a battle for sure. The Lions are going to have to play a near perfect game to have a chance at beating Baltimore. Could they do it? Yeah, if Dan Campbell has the boys motivated enough. But it's a lot easier said than done. But of course, even if I'm not confident the Lions winning this week, it's not going to stop me from rooting for this team. And it's not going to stop me from always saying, go Lions.